Now, inflation adjusted accounting, but that only happens in income statement, all right? So this is pretty much the only one. Today I'm going to spend more time on the conceptual stuff, because for the numerical stuff, remember you have those additional videos? Go watch them. Instead of me doing that here again, it doesn't cover every possible problem, but it covers classes of problems. This is another one where you guys had a lot of leakage. A lot of casualties, I should say. It's kind of unnecessary casualties. At home, when net new borrowings are subtracted from interest payments, a firm pays to its creditors, the result is called what? This is called a reverse definition, okay? I mean, it barely qualifies as a conceptual question, but I could have a question like this in the exam. I could have reverse definitions. If I ask you what's the definition of cash flow from assets, that's a stupid question to ask in an in-class exam where everything is open. All you have to do is Google it, you're done. That doesn't test any understanding. But this is kind of a reverse lookup. What do you think? Which one is this?
Cash flow to creditors.
Exactly. And your explanation would be that is the definition. Write the definition. Cash flow to creditors is interest expense minus what you want to call net new borrow. Done. Again, I'm not guaranteeing there will be, but there could be. I'm going to make up the exam this weekend because I have to do it, deliver early to the people in accommodation office. Otherwise, I would have done it just the night before. So I'm going to decide this weekend, and it depends upon how much whiskey I have. The more whiskey I have, the more generous I become. So a question like this would be in there. You should not miss a question like this, okay? At least read the definitions, think about them. But at home, you should never miss that, right? And unfortunately, some of you do. Some of you miss definition questions at home. There is no excuse for that, okay? If you don't know anything, just Google it. If you don't want to open the book or notes, okay, I had a lot of leakage on this question. Again, if you thought about it and spent time on it, just because it sounds simple doesn't mean you shouldn't think about it. A non-dividend paying firm sold 10,000 additional shares of stock this last year. This must be a person of foreign origin. Certain languages have that construct. Instead of saying last year, you say this last year. German is actually like that. And no shares were repurchased. The cash flow statement for the year must have something. Who's going to tell me the answer? Let me hear from different people, please. So no dividends are paid and you issue new equity, no repurchases. What do you think must happen? May happen is not the answer. Must happen. A lot of things may happen. There's an old Turkish joke. It sounds a lot funnier in Turkish. It says, there could be a stone that falls from the mountain. You could see a bear. But those things rhyme in Turkish. Taş düşebilir, ayı çıkabilir. It's also kind of a funny accent. What do you think is the answer? Larkin?
Negative cash flow, stockholders,
Okay, that is indeed the correct answer. Tell me why.
because,
You got the 5 points, now go for the 10.
because the business, got 10,000 from the stockholders, and the stockholders bought it. So
Exactly. And, I would still give you 5 points for that, even though it's somewhat cryptic. Remember, cash flow to stockholder is how much money did you give to the shareholders? If that number is negative, you got money from them. Okay? So negative cash flow to stockholder is positive cash flow from stockholders. And in this case, we didn't pay them in dividends, but we actually got their money because I sold them 10,000 shares. That means I got money from them on net. So that's negative cash flow to stockholders. Or if you want to be clinical about it, cash flow to stockholders is dividend minus net new equity. So in this case, it's 0 minus positive. That's there. So however your mind works, I'm good with that. Even a simple argument like that, I didn't pay him anything, I got money from them, it must be done, right? You don't need a page to explain to me. The beauty of logic, if you use the right logic, it could be one line. And please don't just babble on and on. Get to the point. Because if I have to read a page to understand what you're trying to say, the chances are that I won't be able to understand what you're trying to say. And sometimes students write that kind of stuff later to be able to argue that, oh, truth is somewhere over there. Yes, but you didn't convince me. I read one page and I'm not closer to believing you before you wrote any of that. This is more important in life. When you make a proposal, whether it's numerical or not, for that proposal to be accepted, you have to convince people. Which means you have to make logical and numerical arguments. The reason behind this assignment is for that. I'm not after, trying to make your life hard. 20 years ago, that could have been one of the motivations, but I'm not 40 anymore. And I said I won't do numerical. If there's specific numerical stuff you want to look at, you can look at them. Let's do a chapter 3 quiz and look at the conceptual stuff. I even have to review it. I guess you guys have to go through this too. Oh, by the way, kind of did a little mistake on chapter 2 quiz grades. In order to figure out who should get the card, I changed the settings so that it showed the average instead of the highest, but I left it that way instead of converting it back to highest. That is corrected now. So if you have looked at it and seen, I thought my score was 90, it shows only 65 here, because you took it 10 times. You eventually got 90, but the average was 60. When I first started doing these, I used to do average, but that created 20 attempts. People just did it more and more just to increase their grade, and I didn't want to look 360 attempts and manually grade some of the fill in the blank stuff. Okay, I may ask something like this. Profit margin. Again, this is kind of a reverse definition, almost. Every dollar of what? So the amount of net profit for every $1 in what? Imagine this to be a multiple choice. I can say TAT, PM, ROE, ROA, or a combination thereof. Or it's impossible to know. Sometimes I put those just to attract people who don't want to think. That it's a trick question. Sometimes that is the answer, because you're wrong. Sometimes I say all of the above, sometimes I have none of the above. That's kind of a possible distractors, and sometimes they are the correct answers. I put those so that you could think about all the choices, right? So what do you think the answer to this is?